The other day, I was thinking back on my life when I first arrived here, and after living here for 1 year, there was something that I realized very quickly as a difference between living in Korea and living in France. A lot of foreigners usually stayed for their entire year, and either they extended their stay for more time or they left immediately after the year had finished. But in France, the situation was a bit different. Native English-speaking teachers would sometimes, in my jobs, would leave in the middle of their contracts or even a week or two after they arrived. So I wanted to talk today about Korea's 1-year rule. What's keeping teachers here for a year and not leaving in the middle of their contract? So one of the main reasons why I decided to stay in Korea after 1 year is because of cultural immersion. Since I was young, I always liked to study history and to learn about new cultures, and especially study and learn about Asian cultures and history. So after arriving in Korea, of course, I had some trouble with like the food, I had trouble with the language, and I had trouble with understanding social cues and mores and things like that. But as time progressed, I began to learn and understand and really appreciate the new life I had here in Korea. I think one of the main reasons why I began to love life in Korea, I started to learn the language, and I actually got to see how convenient and how fast everything in Korea moves, or moved, in comparison to life in France and in the United States. And then after some time, I began to meet friends, like Korean friends, not only at work, but outside of work. And I thought I would never be able to meet Korean friends because I couldn't speak the language very well. But yeah, I would just find myself out sometimes. At that time, I drank. So I would go to like bars, but I didn't drink heavily. But I would just meet people, meet different Koreans, and they would be interested in my life. And of course, I would ask questions about their lives, and we naturally became friends. And then I went on my first cultural immersion trip at a city to the north of where I lived, and we learned about the turtle ships, learned about Korea's defense against the Japanese empire or Japanese invasion, and that like hooked me. I was like, wow, there's so much history and so many interesting things about Korean culture and history that I can learn here. I think I want to stay a little bit longer. Yeah, I remember living in the United States, especially as a teenager, I was so hooked on anime and Japanese culture. Everything that I did in my life, I tried to connect it to anime. Different places and just like repeat anime lines, pretend like I was Goku from Dragon Ball Z or anything like that. Whenever I got to Korea, even though it's not Japan, I was like, wow, I'm in Asia. I don't know if I want to leave just yet, because it kind of made me feel like I was in an anime. By the way, it is autumn here in Korea, and just the weather is crazy good. Not a cloud in the sky today. Just amazing to be here in the autumn. I mention this often, but have to reiterate, if you're coming to Korea, this is the time to come. And I guess this could be another point I can mention about why I decided to stay in Korea after 1 year and not return to France or go to another place. And I think that's because of the experiences having 4 seasons, like 4 seasons on time. When I lived in France, there were 4 seasons, but for some reason, it seemed as if it stayed cold a lot longer than it stayed warm. So in France, when the winter weather would hit, I would feel like, oh, it's lasting for maybe 5 months. But here in Korea, at that time when I arrived, I could feel like spring come for 3 months, summer come for 3 months, fall for 3 months, and then winter for 3 months. It all felt as if each season had its unique time. Trying to come to work early and eat before class starts, but the train was so late, I don't know how much time I have to eat. I talked to you guys about Korean convenience. This is my lunch. It's chicken, rice, and some tofu, whatever, mixed inside. So I went into the market, or I went into the store to order this food. There were a ton of people in there. I thought maybe I can't get my food before 15 minutes. But for some reason, I got my food in like 5 minutes. It was like so quick. And even though the restaurant was full, Koreans, just efficiency, is why I stayed. Also, like here in Korea, I had a very strong community. I think that's another reason why I decided like not to leave Korea after 1 year. A lot of other foreigners chose to stay as well. When I worked in France and I was teaching English, we didn't have like that many professional development sessions or so many meetings where we could see and meet and greet like other native English speaking teachers who were working in our area or even around the country. But here in Korea, I've had so many different opportunities to meet other native English speaking teachers who are working at other universities or who at that time were working at other elementary schools. And then, of course, when you meet people professionally, your relationships can veer off into, personal relationships. So I was able to meet a lot of friends that way. I just remember when I came here, I was alone for the first 4 months. I didn't know any other foreigners, even in my town. No one introduced me to anyone. None of the Korean teachers knew other foreigners who worked in the town. So I was just like, what can I do? So I was feeling quite sad and lonely for my first 4 months. So yeah, one day I received a message from my program coordinator, and she told me, the new orientation season is coming, and there you can meet other native English speaking teachers who are coming to Korea or who have been in Korea, for a month or so. And I was like, oh, so that's probably why I wasn't able to have any friends in my town or meet any other native English speakers in my town, because I was replacing another teacher and it wasn't time for the new teachers to come. But when they did come, I met so many amazing people. And for like the rest of that year, I fell in love with Korea. I fell in love with Korea. I fell in love with culture, because I was able to enjoy new experiences in this country with other people. It's like vastly different doing something alone and doing something with another person who you want to be with. Sorry, it's time for me to go home, so let's get out of here so I can finish telling this story. Seriously, it's just a wonderful autumn day. Like, I don't want to be in class teaching. I'm glad the workday is over. I can go out and enjoy this weather. Look at this. This is my favorite path to walk down here at work, because it just looks so storybook or someplace. I love this path. Even after like having those professional development sessions with all the other native English teachers for public elementary schools down in my town, like I met my best friend. His name is 𝐅𝐸𝐺, and he's from England, but he's of Indian descent. But yeah, we met each other and we like kicked it off, and we've been friends ever since I arrived here in Korea. So yeah, it was a bit different than in France. I mean, I met a lot of friends in France who, well, sunlight is bad. I met friends in France, and a lot of them, we became really close, but I just don't keep in contact with them as much as I do with the friends that I met when I arrived in Korea. I don't know if it's because I was younger when I was in France, or if because, just life made us drift apart. But the one friend that I made here when I first arrived in Korea, his name is 𝐅𝐸𝐺. We even got to a point where we decided to be roommates when we moved to Seoul. So I would not have been able to meet him without this professional development. And we've been friends for, 14 years now. Yo, check out this building perspective. That is a sick shot. That's a sick shot. Love the perspective of Korean apartments. Look at that. That's a photo. That is an amazing photo. And I've met other friends here in Korea when I first arrived, but it's just like here in Korea, like having that strong sense of community right when you need it was the main thing that kept me in Korea for another year, or another 13 years after my first year ended. But yeah, it's just something that I think is very important in order to keep your working population, your professional population together. Make sure that they have professional and personal contacts to reach out to in case they need something. Yeah, so I guess the community aspect of staying in Korea can also touch on the professional aspect, as far as coming here and being able to go on cultural trips to learn about Korean culture, but also the Korean government supported Korean classes. So we could actually go take Korean classes for free. When I arrived, the Korean classes were free. You only needed to travel like an hour to another town in order to participate in the classes, but the classes were free, and they really explained to us like how our contracts worked. They told us, if you do this, this, and that, you can get like this kind of bonus. You can, elongate your teaching career here in Korea. Yeah, that kind of support actually goes a long way. Government behind you, explaining to you what you can do in order to make your professional life in Korea better. I didn't have those kind of resources when I was teaching in France. Korea and her forever stairs. Oh my goodness. Yo, my knees are gonna fall off. This is new. They just finished installing this new like guardrail. This wasn't here 2 weeks ago. Korea and their efficiency. always amazing me. Oh, today was such a long day, even though I only had one class. I just need to sit down for a minute. Whew. I use a lot of energy when I'm teaching my students. And now back home. Yo, this autumn sun is like so much more intense than the summer sun. I wonder why is that? I heard once before it's like because of the tilt of the earth, or the degree of the axis or something like that. If you guys know, then let me know in the comment section, because it always seems like brighter in the fall than it does in the summertime for some reason. You know, all of the reasons that I listed for why I stayed in Korea for an extra year, or stayed after my initial year, could also be used as a double-edged sword. As far as culture is concerned, I imagine it's not easy for a person to pack up all of their belongings and move to a completely different country or continent, for that matter, and start their life over again. You have to meet new friends, you have to learn how to eat new food, you have to learn how to work in a different country, you have to learn all of the cultural mores and cues and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely not an easy thing to do. So there are several people in the program that I did when I arrived in Korea for native English teachers, and after 1 year they just left. And it wasn't because they missed home so much, even though they did miss home, but it was just because they couldn't get used to Korean culture. It was so difficult for them to acculturate to Korea. They couldn't understand like how certain things were done. They definitely did not enjoy eating the food, and just, I guess, hearing Korean all the time and couldn't really communicate in English was also a big struggle for them. So one of my best friends, he actually came to Korea to live here for a year, and he enjoyed his time here, but after 1 year he was like, I'm out, I'm not gonna stay, because I just, you know, I miss home. Like being comfortable in the United States, speaking English all the time, eating food that you know how it tastes, and you know exactly, you know, what's gonna happen to your stomach, I guess, after you finish eating. He liked being in America, and he never complained anything about Korea, except sometimes he would say like his co-teacher was like getting on his nerves. But I think that's also like a contributing factor to him leaving. It's like having to work with someone who doesn't speak your native language all the time can make you feel, I guess, kind of not dejected, but just put your spirits, you know, down. Some of my other friends who left after 1 year stated how it was difficult for them to like keep in touch with all of their family and friends back home. Like they were used to having a very close-knit group of people around them, and here in Seoul, here in Korea, they just didn't have that. So it was difficult for them to adjust to this new reality. And I remember I had one friend who mentioned financial factors as one reason why he wanted to leave after 1 year, which I didn't really understand, because I thought we were paid quite well. But I guess everyone has different needs in their life. So yeah, he left after 1 year. He loved it here. He loved the culture. He loved the people. And he had like a girlfriend, so he didn't really want to leave her. But he said he just needed to make more money. And I actually think another reason why some foreigners leave after 1 year, and this happened in France, as I stated earlier in the video, it's like homesickness. You miss just being at home. You miss having the comfort of people that you know very well always being around you, and you know, that just feels really good. Imagine you're with your family or you're with your friends like all the time, 24/7, and then suddenly you're whisked away to another country, to another continent, and you don't have that familiarity around you. It's just, it can make you feel lonely, it can make you feel isolated, and dare I say, it can also make you feel a bit depressed. So in this case, I'm talking about native English speaking teachers who come to Korea for the first time. But guys, let me know what you think. What are some reasons why foreigners would want to leave their new country after a year, or why they would want to stay after 1 year? Yo, this is a cool little walkway. Just hope I don't fall in the water. Just hope I don't fall in the water. Doing it. I'm doing it. Don't fall, Francois. You got this. This weather, too good. People outside riding bikes, walking with families, smiling, jogging, enjoying life. This is my type of weather. my time of the year. All in all, even though some people stay longer after their contracts end, and some people go home after their contract ends after 1 year, I've never seen a situation where a person left in the middle of their 1 year contract. I've never seen this at all. And I'm just thinking, like, compared to France or other stories I hear of native English speakers moving abroad, Korea has like a really high like keeper rate as far as foreigners who don't quit their contracts, in my opinion, during the first year. I don't have anyone in my circle who has quit during their first year of being in Korea. On the contrary, I have a lot of people in my circle who just love being here. They use Seoul, especially Incheon Airport, as a base for traveling around Asia, which is what I do as well. This is like the perfect hub for traveling, and just being here in Korea has allowed them to like broaden their horizons, to open their perspectives of like thinking, and now they have like better professional networks and a better understanding of life as a global citizen. And every time I say that I'm gonna leave Korea, like recently, I can't find a way to leave. Like, well, I can find a way to leave. It's just that life here in Korea for me is so comfortable, so convenient, and I don't want for anything. So it's like, how do you leave a situation like that? It's actually a bit dangerous because, well, maybe I should talk about this in a different video, but like when I was younger, before I came to Korea, I was like a really big go-getter, and I wanted to like move from situation to situation, you know, trying to find different opportunities and exploring my potential. But when I arrived in Korea, I kind of explored a bit of my potential, but not as much as I could have or I wanted to before I arrived in Korea. And for me, like, safety is also a big aspect of why I stayed in Korea. I say this all the time in my videos, how Korea is so safe. I don't feel threatened at all here. But when I lived in Atlanta, or even when I lived in Paris, I felt like, you know, anything could happen. You know, it's like Murphy's Law. Like, you know, what can happen will happen. I think that's how it goes, something like that. But yeah, that's another reason why I can't leave, or why it's difficult for me to leave, or why I stayed here longer than my year's contract. Hey guys, let me know what you think about the video. If you got some value from this video, please like and make sure you comment. Please comment on the video. Tell me what you think about this topic. Like, why do some foreigners stay? Why do some foreigners leave after their 1 year contracts wherever they go, but especially here in Korea? I would really like to know your thoughts. Thanks a lot for watching. It's dinner time. I'm gonna go find something to eat. I'm hungry. So make sure you guys take care of yourself. As always, I love you, and I hope you are doing well wherever you are. Make sure you stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace. Oh, I did the too early. Let's do that one more time. Peace. There we go. Can't mess up my bread and butter.